Hello, family. My name is James Trice, and I'm the creator of a podcast called YANA, or You Are Not Alone. You Are Not Alone is a podcast for Black men. It is more than just a podcast, it's a lifeline and a brotherhood. We're here to create a supportive, judgment-free space where Black men can have real, open conversations about what truly matters to us, from family and relationships to community, sports, culture, politics, faith, sex, race, education, and the challenges of everyday life. We dive deep into it all. Whether you're looking for advice, motivation, prayer, or just a comfort of knowing you're not walking this journey alone. Yana is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard, because none of us are meant to do life alone. Look for new episodes weekly wherever you get your podcasts. And look for me on Instagram at jbtrice123. Welcome to Yana. Grace and peace, everyone. Welcome again to this episode of Yana. You Are Not Alone, a space for Black men to talk, to be real, to be heard, and to discuss the issues that we care about the most in a judgment-free environment where we talk uncensored about the issues that matter to us. And so I want to welcome you to this episode of Yana. You Are Not Alone. Again, this is a space for us to walk this journey of life together because none of us are meant to do life alone. I want to welcome today's guest, Wesley Walker, a young man who I've been knowing for a long time. So I want him to, I don't want to say much. I want him to introduce himself. So thank you, Wesley, for joining us. Introduce yourself, say who you are, and tell the audience something that you would like them to know about you.
Thanks, James. James, thanks for including me into this effort that you're doing. I think it's well thought, well needed, and well thought out from the conversations we've had. Um, Again, my name is Wesley Walker. I've known James for at least almost 20 years now, I think, from
Yeah, it's been a while.
work together. I am presently doing consulting on a part-time basis, and I'm also pursuing another chapter in my life, which is doing artwork, which is something that I've been trying to do off and on basically most of my life. But I now have a studio that I work out of, and I'm doing painting, and I'm trying to kind of pursue. I'd like to pursue that as a living, if I can. And it's going to be difficult, but we'll see how that works out. Um, Trying to pursue artist residencies and that kind of thing at this point. But previous to that, my most of my career basically has been working with nonprofit organizations. Started out as a community organizer, actually, like one of our former presidents, Barack Obama. Actually, I, I one of the organizations I used to work with, Barack was. On the board of a community organization, and we had given money to them. And I had talked to Barack about a grant that we had given his organization that he was working with. That was before when he was I believe, a state senator. But a brief connection with the former president. Anyway, again, that's been basically my career. My last stop was working in a foundation as a grant maker. As a matter of fact, the job that I had in Minneapolis was when I met James, is with an organization I worked for about 9 years, where I was making grants to organizations in North Minneapolis. So that's basically what I've done professionally, and give you an idea of my passion. I have three adult children at this point, and I have two grandchildren, uh, two grandsons, both grandsons were both born both a month apart, and they're now heading towards 3 years old. So, experiencing new experiences being a grandpa uh,
Hmm.
and that that's an exciting new chapter in my life as well. So that's that's a little bit about me.
That's beautiful, man. It's interesting because I have grandchildren myself, and I am convinced, and I say this all the time. I'm convinced that I love my grandchildren. I love when they come by the house. My wife and we spend time with them. But I am convinced that raising kids is for young people. Because they take a lot of energy. Love them, man. Love them to life. But they take a lot of energy. But I love them, love them, love them. So congratulations to you too
Oh,
on your
thank
grandbabies. It is wonderful being a grandparent. But I want to talk a little bit about your artwork, man. I want you to go deeper into that. What prompted you? What drew you to doing art? And describe the kind of art that you do.
you. Well, I'll start with the last question. I basically do figurative painting, and I work in oil. Actually, I work in all mediums. I had been working in watercolor for a long time and doing a lot of watercolors. Sold a lot of watercolor, sold several watercolors, basically. As a matter of fact, I was selling some art through a gallery in Minneapolis that was owned by mutual friend who died a couple years ago, and that gallery closed. But I had been doing artwork and selling it through that gallery. But I basically work in oils and do figurative work. I don't do abstract work because it to me is a difficult thing to do to conceptualize. And the reason the I mean, I do art basically because it's something that's sort of in me. That is something that I've had as even before I started school. I've always liked to do drawings or doodle and that kind of thing. And it's a bug that I never grew out of or it never left me. And as I got older, and as I continued to do art throughout my life, it bothered me that I couldn't do more of it and spend a lot more time doing more of it. And I felt it was a gift that was given to me that I hadn't fully explored or exploited. And I think that the God consciousness basically was providing me the opportunity now to do that. And so I'm taking advantage of it now to see where, as I said before, to see where it takes me and to see, what I can do with it. Of course, like all artists, I have my self-doubts about, am I doing art that really people art that's relevant to people or people can relate to or that speaks to people. And then that sort of in turn sort of affects my um, consciousness about uh, my confidence in myself. Um, but I have to play it out to the end to see how that works out. I don't want to be a person that says, "Well, I wish I could have spent more time doing art. I wish I could have done that." I don't want to be that. I want to do it, play it out, and then if it doesn't work out, I could say, "Well, I played it out. I did everything that I thought I should do. Didn't work out. I'm moving on." So that's kind of I don't know if that really answers your question.
Oh, it did. It does. I mean, it actually leads to another question I have for you in regards to your art. What kind of message does your art send, if it sends a message at all? And then how does that message relate to we as Black people in here in America?
That's a hard question. I'm not really sure because the message basically is subjective and dependent on the viewer of the art.
Hmm.
And I'm not the uh, I don't think that my art that I intentionally tried to send a message other than basically a lot of my work is I said figurative and there's usually one or two people in that painting and it would sort of suggest sort of a loneliness and a solitariness about the individual or sort of reflective, be something like being reflective, um, and that might be subconsciously where I'm going with that. Uh, what I'm trying to do. The last couple pieces I've done was like a solitary figure or maybe two figures in there. It's not a whole lot of people. There's not, but the energy that I'm trying to convey in the artwork, and also I'd done artwork basically portraying jazz musicians. Um, but the artwork that I tried to do, I tried to convey sort of an energy in the brushstroke and the way I put the figures on canvas. I want sort of an energy to come out of that artwork and people to see that energy, especially if I'm working on art that depicts musicians, where they're doing jazz musicians where they're doing improvisation, because part of improvisation is energy, and jazz is energy, and music in general is energy, and that's what I want to convey. Whether someone picks that up or not, that depends on the viewer. That depends on what they can glean from what it is that I put on the canvas or paper.
Wow. So as a black man who's a artist who loves art, and your art sounds wonderful, um, what are you most concerned about when it comes to black people here in America, and particularly black men? What are you most concerned about?
Answer that question again because you froze a little bit.
Oh, as a black man who's an artist,
Yeah.
um, w- what are you most concerned about with regard to black people here in America?
Um, I would say it's more than just being an artist, just being a black man in America generally is the um, the need for black people to assert their humanity and constant need to assert their humanity in a society basically that's trying to basically deny the humanity of black folks, particularly black men. And there was a time, and I lived through, of course, I lived through the 60s and 70s where there seemed to be a resurgence of, of, of of black people and black men's um, basically asserting their humanity and demanding that our humanity be celebrated and not taken for granted. That now we live now in a period where that's trying to be denied and where um, it's being discounted. And alarmingly, it's coming from their black folks themselves that are basically have bought into the fact that there's no need for that to occur.
Mm,
That there needs to you need to play down the history of racism in this country. Need to play down the history of slavery and the effects that it's had on our community. People are saying, "Well, that's over with. That's done with." Well, it may be done with to a certain degree, but we are still experiencing the psychological effects, not only the psychological effects, the health effects that the stress of living in a society that wants to deny our humanity is happening. There's a reason why Black men, in particular, experience more heart disease than any other ethnic group in this country. There's a reason why we experience more diabetes. There's a reason why we experience some of the other negative health consequences of living in a society that basically has put pressure on trying to deny our humanity.
mm.
That is what I think about a lot and what concerns me a lot.
Wow, that is powerful, brother, and it's so true. What do you then think is the responsibility of artists of all genres of artistry, um, to really address that issue that you just laid out. The way the society treats us, has viewed us, and
Yeah.
the way we view ourselves based on what society says about us. What do you think is the responsibility of artists to really address that issue?
Um, I think overall, I think that the responsibility of the artist is to be himself or herself and to basically convey a message or a thought that they feel comfortable in conveying.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to suggest or imply or demand or any other aggressive word that an artist should or has a duty to have a message that basically conveys the Black experience. Um, and Black artists, and just artists of color of any kind of walk a fine line when they do that, because on the one hand, they want their art to sort of speak, they want it to speak to as many people as possible, because for no other reason, they may want to sell that art. But on the other hand, they do want it to be relevant to their experience. And I mean, it's like a writer. When people are asked, writers, sometimes people who want to write will say, well, what do I write about? Well, people will say, well, write what you know, write, write about your experience, write about what you've been through. And an artist, a figurative artist or a visual artist, the same thing. Paint what you know, paint what you've experienced. And if people can accept that, that's fine. And that can go for Black artists as well. Paint your experience. Paint my experience basically was I grew up loving jazz. So a lot of the work that I've done in the past have been jazz musicians or depicting jazz musicians, and like I said, the energy of jazz and so forth and so on. The problem with that is that people generations past me, jazz is not very relevant to them. So does that really, am I really speaking or reaching those people? So I have to think of ways, if I want to communicate with that section or that group of people, I have to look at how can my experience, how can I depict my experience on canvas that will relate to the experience that they're going through? Is there a
Hmm.
universal, and is there a universality to the experience that I can somehow convey or depict on canvas or on paper, so forth and so on, would resonate with just about everyone, not just one generation, part of the generation, so on. So that's the challenge. How do you reach across generations? If you want to convey a message, how do you reach across generations and send that message to folks, not just to one particular generation or one generation that can only relate to the experience that you've gone through to a certain point.
And so, with that said, you say you like to paint about artists, jazz artists in particular, is what your
Yeah.
passion is what I'm hearing. Are there particular jazz artists that you like to paint, and why? Why those particular jazz artists as opposed to others?
Well, one particular artist and people who like jazz will probably relate to this would be John Coltrane. John
Mm,
Coltrane basically was probably he was a person that experimented with melody and harmony and all of the things about music, and was able to, through his saxophone, basically create a language that a lot of people that resonated with a lot of people. Not only people that listen to jazz, but people that outside of jazz, they heard it, just the tone. And for me, when I'm listening to John Coltrane, and he comes in and does his solo, it's like Moses parting the sea. Uh,
Hmm.
he comes in, does his solo, and it's just in awe.
Yeah.
Just before his death, basically, people would listen to his music, which was very outside, very avant-garde. But what he was trying to do was convey a language um, about the music that he heard, and he was trying to convey it to listeners. Um, some people got it, a lot of people didn't. But I celebrate, or really, it's really I have to give him the propers as far as trying to do that. And he did that no matter what kind of criticism he got. He was convinced that this language that he was conveying or doing through his music was what was right for him, and
Hmm.
it's right for people to do, and I guess it made the experience relevant and real to him, and he stuck to it. So that first and foremost is the jazz musician that I really like, and admire, and he's kind of affected my life and kind of view about a lot of things.
Wow. Wow. And so John Coltrane is my favorite. It's John Coltrane, Miles Davis. I like Joshua Redman, and others.
Yeah.
But John is probably by far my favorite. And one of my favorite pieces by him is a few of my favorite things that I really enjoy listening to.
Mhm.
Nice and mellow. Um, how has that his music impacted your life?
Um, well, first of all, I remember the day I heard when I heard over radio John Coltrane died. He died, and he died I would say 3 days before my 11th birthday. He died July 17th, 1967. And I remember that day like it was yesterday. And believe it or not, I was listening to jazz when I was 11,
Wow.
9, 10, 11 years old, even before that. And that shows you, and because I remember that, and I remember that about hearing about John Coltrane's death, and how it, and I remember to this day, that shows you how much of an effect he must have had at me at that young age. And he's had that effect on me since then. It's just, and the more I learned about him, the more I learned about his steadfastness in learning about his music, his craft, and the hours and hours he put into practicing and trying to be the best that he could. And then basically, he was a very non-assuming man to be. And when you listen to his sound, you think of him as being like 6'2", big guys, but he was not a big guy. He was maybe like 5'10", 5'11". But near the end of his life, he basically gained a little weight because of cirrhosis and other things, and the things he had done in the past. But his sound was just so incredible, and no one since has been able to duplicate that sound. When you listen to John Coltrane, uh, you will pick it up immediately. I don't know about you, but
Yes.
if they
It
play
is distinct.
something, yeah,
Oh yeah.
if they play something
I can pick it up. I know who John Coltrane is.
immediately, yeah, you say, "Oh, that's
Immediately.
yeah,
That's Coltrane.
right,
Yeah.
yeah." So
Wow.
it's it's that kind of distinction and distinctive voice and effect that he's had on the music and other musicians, uh, which and which has affected me of being someone, if I'm going to do my craft with the art, how can I basically have that kind of distinction? How can I be as distinctive as that? What I need to put in the kind of work that he put in to basically have that effect on people. That's how it affects me.
Hmm. You talked earlier about how your art depicts probably one or two individuals, not groups of individuals, right?
Yeah.
And mostly in like kind of a solitary kind of atmosphere that they're in.
Hmm.
Why do you do that as opposed to other forms of, you know, painting pictures of like inanimate objects like bridges or rivers or even man-made objects or even the earth or things like that? Why that as opposed to why the singular depiction of individuals as opposed to groups of individuals and as opposed to other depictions?
One is because I like I like the to basically depict human form and human form in relationship to environments. Um, and you're talking about as opposed to painting just landscapes or still lifes and that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's it. That's the words I was looking for. Thank
I it primarily because I just don't find any excitement in painting landscapes or still life other than just as an academic sort of pursuit. Um, Not that I'm totally averse to it, but I just like painting people. Like I'm working on a painting now of a pool player, uh, basically concentrating on shooting pool. And I'm thinking about another idea I have is painting two brothers playing chess in the park, just sort of reacting to each other, that kind of thing, and having people see that kind of interaction in the painting and the energy maybe that comes from that. That is basically question is basically a matter of just preference of what I would like to, you know, depict.
you.
Some people like painting flowers and
Right.
lakes and valleys and stuff like that. I
So you're saying it's just this is just what you like,
Yeah,
and you don't basically know why. Is just that's what attracts you.
right.
Is those kinds of scenes? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Um, and we got about like 5 minutes left. Um, what would you say to individuals who are listening to us now, who are artists like yourself, um, and they're black men who are artists? What would you say to them as we end today? What words would you say to them to whether encourage them or to support them? What words would you say to black men who are artists right now? And then you name one piece, a song that John Coltrane has done that really has touched your life. That is probably your favorite song by Coltrane.
Okay. Um, well, I have two couple things with that. First of all, one of the one of the quotes that I basically has kind of that I go to or that I've sort of internalized is a quote from all people, Socrates, where Socrates says, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Uh,
Mm,
the which basically means that always examine why. Why are you doing this? Why? And constantly ask yourself that question, why? And come to try to come to some conclusion as to what, and be really honest about as you ask yourself the question. what answers you come up with. And then to believe in yourself, because there nobody else in the world will believe in you and what you're trying to do. And if you're really trying to pursue basically what it is your dream, do it. Just pursue it and see what happens. And basically, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to pursue my dream and see what happens. There will be moments of self doubt, lots of moments of self doubt. There are moments of, am I doing the right thing? And there will be people who will say, "Are you crazy? You should be doing. You're wasting your time. You should be doing something else." You have to just sort of tune all of that out. If you believe what you're doing, and you've examined yourself, and you've answered the question why, and you've answered that truthfully to yourself, and you continue to pursue what it is you want to pursue, that's what you need to do, and do it to the best of your ability, and make sure that you put everything in it before you decide to give it up or go something else, or maybe even it might be trying another tack or something that you haven't figured out um, the way to get to the point that you need to be. Maybe there are people out there that can help you do that, but always ask yourself why. Why am I doing this? And really be um, ready to um, be able to live with the answer to that question. As far as the song, I would say would be "A Love Supreme" by John Coltrane. Coltrane.
Yes, yes.
And that basically, as I talked about earlier, was a pinnacle basically of what Coltrane was trying to convey, because of his spiritual connection to Coltrane wasn't a religious man, but he was strongly, he has a strong spiritual connection, which are similar to me, strong spiritual connection to the God consciousness that was with him and with everyone. And I think that what he wanted to do through A Love Supreme, that entire album, was to make that connection, convey the connection that he had, and connect that with with other folks who were listening and to that liked his music.
Wow. You know, Love Supreme was one of my favorites as well, man. I love that one. Love that piece. Thank you so much, Brother Wesley, for joining us today on this episode of Yana. It was incredible. And, brother, we definitely have to have you come back again. And I
I
want to
love,
talk more about, huh? What did you say?
I'd love to. I thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, man. And now, when we end here, man, I got to go listen to some Coltrane, man. I love him. So thank you so much. Uh, Audience, thank you so much for turning into this episode of Yana. You've been listening to Yana. You are not alone, a space for black men. Thank you for joining us. And remember to go to my YouTube page and hit Yana, YANA, James Trice, and you'll see episodes there. Please like and subscribe and follow. And then you can see episodes or hear episodes of Yana on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, till next time, um, we're never meant to do life alone. Grace and peace, everyone. Until next time.
Peace.
Yana is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard because none of us are meant to do life alone.